Welcome to In the Room, where we explore the elusive world of casting for film, TV, and commercials. Join us as we interview directors, writers, producers, and actors, taking a deep dive into their experiences with casting and how the ultimate decisions are made in bringing a story to the screen. Get an inside look at casting and find out what really goes on in the room.
Let's rock and roll.
Give me the key. Just relax. Heads down, eyes down. This ain't worth dying for.
3 shooters, all ex-military. Not just military. These guys are gunfighters. The Irish Channel to get lost in right there.
FBI robbery task force?
How'd they know?
Let's go get our money. You're a little light, don't you think?
We ain't had no choice.
Tell me more about these brothers.
The younger one was the smart one.
Everybody just calm down.
The older one was the mean one.
So I apologize.
You're not gonna be happy till we're all dead. You've always wanted that warrior's death.
I ain't afraid to die, bro.
I ain't leaving you here with this psychopath.
Ooh, wait! This is how you get a party started.
We're never gonna see each other again.
You ain't thinking straight.
I've never been more clear in my whole life.
Did I tell you you were gonna wish you killed me first?
This is where I butter you up, dude. This is where
Awesome.
This is where I make you sound. And this is all internet, so you got to let me know what is right, what is wrong. I know your career fairly well. So I have William KAUFMAN, his surname. Stands as a trailblazing figure in American filmmaking, celebrated for his gritty and immersive approach to the action genre. He first stormed into prominence with the cult hit Sinners and Saints, a film that not only showcased his ability to craft intense narratives and adrenaline-pumping action sequence, but also marked him as a director to watch. Following this breakthrough, KAUFMAN's directorial prowess drew the attention of major studios, leading to fruitful collaborations with the industry giants like Sony Pictures, 20th Century Fox, Universal Studios. One of KAUFMAN's defining characteristics as a filmmaker is his versatility, evident in the diverse range of projects he's helmed, from gripping TV series such as NCIS Los Angeles to the heart-stopping action horror of Daylight Ends. KAUFMAN has demonstrated a keen ability to navigate various genres with finesse and creativity. His work consistently resonates with audiences, drawing them into the worlds filled with tension, intrigue, and visceral excitement. I'm telling you, man, this is good stuff. In recent years, KAUFMAN has continued to push the boundaries of action cinema with a strong and compelling projects. The Channel, which I just watched, which was awesome. A gripping crime thriller showcases his talent for delving into the darker aspects of human nature while manifesting a relentless pace and tension throughout. Meanwhile, Shrapnel, an explosive action adventure produced for Paramount Pictures, promises to deliver pulse-pounding thrills and non-stop excitement under KAUFMAN's expert direction. Which it just goes on and on, dude.
Did my mom send you that?
Dude, but I mean, I want to start with one, the opening of the Channel. I think John told me that you guys had more bullets in that scene than any other action sequence or something. Or you guys ripped more bullets in that movie in the Channel than any other movie?
We shot some bullets, some blanks. Yeah, we definitely fired off some blanks. That's for sure.
That opening scene is awesome, and I want to know, like, where did you? Because this is my favorite genre, man. This is how, like, Tequila, like all the Mel Gibson stuff, Tequila Sunrise. Like, I mean, I just love bank heist fucking action movies, man.
Me too.
It's just so much fun, you know. So how did you get into this? How did you get started?
You know what? 100 years ago, I was a struggling wannabe filmmaker, and I collaborated with an actor, another really great actor from Austin, Holt Boggs, and
Holt's great. Jay and Holt, yeah.
Ray Moses, absolutely. And we, along with a writing partner, Matt Beckham, wrote this screenplay with the goal of, hey, no one's going to give us an opportunity. We need to go make one for him to star and for me to direct. And we made this little movie back then, and it was like 114 grand, and that isn't so little now for first films. But at that time, it was all shot on film.
Yeah, but I say paint the picture, man. That because it wasn't like people don't get it. They don't understand how hard it is to accomplish that. What that takes, because we no resources, no cameras, no like we didn't have fucking internet. We didn't have it.
Right. Yeah. So we borrowed we borrowed a camera, a 16 millimeter camera, and we went and shot a fake trailer for over 2 weekends. And all of us reached out to Kodak and Fuji and asked for test rolls. So we had like 15 people all asking for 400 feet of film.
And this is just the ends, right? This is just like the leftovers, basically.
Right. Well, and they would actually give us like 400 feet rolls, so to test stuff. So,
Yeah.
And that test was our trailer, and we took highlights from the movie that hadn't been shot, and we created this movie, and we shot it all with. I mean, there was a crew of like 8 of us. Had a big cast. We shot for off and on. We shot for 2 weeks, and then we shot off and on over weekends, and finally got it done. And that got out there, and it did remarkably well for a little movie. And that got us our next opportunity, which that movie got me. That was Sinners and Saints.
Sinners and Saints, yeah. But you had the Prodigy before that.
Yeah, Prodigy was the one I'm talking about. That was the first.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So, but take me back to like even childhood, man. How'd you get into this? Like, what influenced you? I want to know what movies like stuck on you.
Yeah, I was that little nerd running around with a video camera, making movies, and my old man used to show me lots of these, old school, really old school, The Dirty Dozen, all the Sergio Leone stuff,
all the westerns, yeah,
exactly. And then I got into I started seeing films like Jaws and Raiders and Terminator and Lethal Weapon. These were all kind of the movies that just kind of got me going. And for me, and then there was Die Hard, and then I stumbled across a little director called Luc Besson, and I saw La Femme Nikita with a bunch of film school buddies that I was going with at UNT, University of North Texas, and that was the movie that kind of made me go, okay, you could do a character story. I'm not saying these others weren't, but I'm saying scope wise,
yeah, smaller, like something that was obtainable for where you were at school, yeah,
exactly. And so our film school wouldn't let us use any of our gear.
Wait, what?
I know, it's strange, but I mean, really, our film school was not film school. Our film school was our first movie. My DP had been a still photographer and artist, Mark Rutledge, and he shot pretty much all of my films ever since then. And it was all of our first time at bat. And it just
he shot The Channel too.
Yes,
that's one of the things that stood out to me, was just how good that film looked, man. Like,
yeah, he crushed it.
Yeah, he crushed it on that.
And he's, we've known each other since we were kids. We have such a shorthand. We move as fast as anyone in the business. And,
dude, so I came down to Troublemaker when you guys were doing Osiris, right?
Yeah.
Fucking hell. You guys were shooting one action scene and you would cut, and then you would be shooting another action scene. And it was like, cut. It was insane.
It was insane. But I mean, literally we had 2.5 days to do what ended up being about 12 minutes of the movie.
Wow.
And that's what we could afford, was those 2.5 days.
Yeah.
And it was the only way to get it done. And you have to be very specific, know exactly what you want, go in with a game plan ahead of time. I had an awesome TAC advisor who had trained the team for about 2 weeks prior to that. And
I mean, yeah, that's the thing, right? I mean, you even had the extras, and everybody was, I mean, it was choreographed, it was shooting. I mean, it was just like so much to handle, and you were cool as a cucumber.
Well, I may have pretended I was, but yeah, it's a little stressful. And luckily I had my stunt coordinator, Tyler Galpin, and Isaac Lewis. They both handled the second unit, and so I would be shooting, and then they would shoot, and then I would run over, and we would go back and forth. And I stayed with. Think about a gun battle as a conversation, right? So I'm shooting the heroes, and then they're grabbing in between my cuts, and then I'm running over there and grabbing that. It was crazy.
It was chaos, yeah. So okay, you're UNT. You guys are starting. You're starting to kind of play around a little bit. What are you like? Are you into this genre? Are you looking at other stuff, or what are you guys trying to shoot?
As far as when I started,
Yeah, when you started, like, did you?
no, this is what I wanted to do. So that was the idea behind the script. We knew we couldn't do Prodigy's obviously influenced by Seven,
Uh-huh.
and that was a huge influence for Holt and I. And
Which great movie, man.
yeah,
Such
it's
a
the best.
fucking great movie.
It's I'm a huge Crazy Fincher fan, and I just love that movie. And the other film that was kind of inspired it was a movie called The Hitcher, and with Rutger Hauer.
Yeah, I remember it. I gotta go back and watch it. I remember it.
Yeah, but it's essentially this psychopath doing this cat and mouse game with this kid, and that's kind of our storyline. Is we have this this ultimate hitman, serial killer, kind of a Kaiser Soze kind of legendary killer, and he thinks he's latched onto a protege in our lead character, and he ends up taking him on this insane journey.
And so you guys are sort of cooking that up at UNT.
Yeah, I mean, Holt at the time was at KD Studios in the actors program
in Dallas,
and I was at film school, and the two of us we did the beat sheet together, and then I would do my pages, he would do his pages, and we'd both beat each other up and give each other shit on what we thought was wrong. And then the two of us just over that time created the screenplay, and then I had a buddy of mine who came in and helped us with kind of the insane killers kind of story of it to kind of elevate it, and it did. And
I mean, what made you think you're a kid in Dallas, dude? Like, what makes you think you're gonna that you guys could do this?
I know. I mean, ignorance, complete ignorance. We just believed we could, and we had an amazing. We chased funding on that movie for like 2 years. At one point, we had an opportunity supposedly to do it, and they wanted one of us, and as far as Holt and myself, and not the other one. And both of us were like, that's not the point. That's not what we're doing. And whether that would have ever materialized, who knows? But then we kept chasing funding. And
but how did you even know how to, like, I mean, going back, when was this was 2005, right? So going back, like, where did you even get the knowledge of being like, okay, how do I go raise investment? And like, I mean, like, it's such an unknown world. It's better now, right? Because we have information. But back in 2005, like, you and Holt and Jay and like all you guys creating fucking movies in Dallas is just kind of like,
it's insane. But we also had someone like Rodriguez who had done it.
Got it. Yeah. That's what I was kind of getting at. Who was the influence to like to say, hey, this can be done?
Yeah, I think it was definitely him.
Yeah.
Saying, and all of us had our highlighted Rebel Without a Crew books, and
yeah.
and we definitely used a wheelchair as a dolly and all kinds of crazy stuff.
And you got Quentin. Quentin's pulling it off with Reservoir as well, right? So he's sort of,
that's another level though. It was $1 million film with stars.
Yeah, for sure.
And he was the hottest kid in town.
Yeah.
He was a script doctor on Crimson Tide, and
so you didn't get caught up in that sort of like, we need a star. Because you know how it is now, because Christian and John at Roosevelt I deal with all the time, and it's like we're on these calls, and it's like we got to get names, values, and all this stuff. But back then, you guys like, you're just like, okay, if we can just get something with our friends made. That was like the clear objective. So how do you even go to financiers and say to them, you're probably not going to make any money back?
I don't know how. I mean, that's also why we completely struck out for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then we were at a Tyson fight, a bunch of buddies and I in Denton, and another guy was there, Ken Dundon, and he watched it. He was a crazy movie fan, and he had saw our trailer, and that's what we used as our proof of concept. And he liked it and believed in it, and for some reason decided to give us a chance. And we got kind of installments of money, which is kind of like to see that we weren't going to crash and burn.
Yeah.
And one thing led to another, and
what a great film school, right? What a great.
Yeah. I literally remember the very last day we had to turn in the truck, and our last day we had worked like 28 hours.
That's 2 days. That's 2 days. So
Yes. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking around, and there's a shot of Holt in the elevator and it's dropping. And we had this camera stuck out over the shaft of the elevator, looking down on him as he descends. And then we'd have to bring it back up. I'm looking around and I'm watching the crew all kind of, the 5 of us, 6 of us who are still there, nod off and kind of wake back up. And then we almost took the elevator into the camera, and which would have been the end of the world. And then we wrapped, and I remember I drove the grip truck, the 3-ton truck, back to Panavision, Dallas. And my producer and I just slapped each other and yelled at each other to try and stay awake to get home. And we got it done.
Yeah.
But then we struggled like everyone. We didn't understand the business. So I think we didn't understand that. We thought the biggest battle was making the movie.
Right,
That was trying to get anyone to see it.
That's like when anyone tells me, I'm like, what's your ROI on this? And they're like, well, we're going to get into festivals. I'm like, you don't know that. That's not a business plan.
Well, and I think also what we don't understand when we're coming up is that literally no festivals will make a difference as far as getting picked up, other than 3 or 4.
Yep. You got Toronto, you got Sundance, Toronto,
South by Southwest.
Yeah.
And if you don't get into those,
and also too, your genre doesn't lend itself to those festivals, right? Because they want these art house, like,
Exactly. We're the last thing anyone wants.
Yeah.
And we got into some other more genre festivals. We got into a great festival in Edinburgh, Scotland. We got into one in Rain Dance in London. And then, but the most fun we had was we went to a horror fest in San Francisco, and that was our target audience. Right? Those, and they loved it, and we had a blast.
So walk me through that learning curve for you for Prodigy to going into Sinners, like when you guys got it done, and then you realize you're like, oh, we gotta fucking sell this thing.
Right. And then we're there, and it took us forever to get the film edited because, of course, like all of us, we come up with enough money to shoot it. We forget about post. And then, so the first Prodigy was cut in my garage on the first final cut. We scrounged enough money together to get this edit bay, and we finally finished the movie. We call in every favor. David Rucker, who's a senior producer at the Richest Group, a big ad company.
I know David.
Yeah. So Dave produced it and crushed it. And with his resources and contacts, we got Company 3 in LA to color it. And then I happened to we met, crazy story. We met this kind of guy at a bar in LA. Some Croatian guy that was supposedly a filmmaker and producer.
That all tracks. That sounds about right.
Yeah, right. And then he introduced us to a producer named John Morrissey, who we know him from American History X.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And he liked it. He took it on. He got a commission. He got it seen by a sales agent, and the sales agent took it. And I remember we started getting residuals for it, and the producer, the owner of the sales company, was like to his number 2 going, why are we still paying overages? He didn't get it at all. He didn't think the movie would do anything. And it actually did pretty well.
So how did you end up in a bar with a with a Croatian? Like,
that's Hollywood, baby. It's just
that's what people don't understand.
The wrong place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we were actually in.
Were you out there doing meetings, or were you out there trying to sell, or?
Yes, at that time I was living outside of LA I was there for about 3 years.
Okay.
And Hulk came in and we're just trying to, I mean, we were the guys who went to Sundance with a film not in, with water bottles with our logo on it, and we're walking around like this little leather jacket mafia, thinking we were cool. Didn't work at all.
At
Got
all.
nothing out.
Yeah. And did you guys screen like off in one of the off venues? Or, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've been there,
Yeah.
done that.
And but then there is, like, if a filmmaker asks me, so how do you do it? There is no way.
Dude, I always say
right?
the same thing. I'm like, if I had the fucking secret, one, do you think I would tell you? Two, I'd be on the cover of People right now. Like
Right.
there's no way to predict that you're going to be in a bar, you're going to meet a Croatian and he's going to introduce you to your sales agent. There's just no way,
No
after
way.
you've done everything, you made you've gone to like, and then dude, the kick in the nuts after that, right? And you leave with nothing, right?
Right.
And you're just
And
like,
we had driven there, so we had 16 hours from Dallas
to talk about
in a little van with like 8 of us.
to just talk about how miserable this is.
Yes. And and we were in all the wrong places at none of the right parties.
Yep.
But we had a good time and we were miserable and we got a lot of experience out of it. And I think we kind of thought we could do the festival circuit. We just didn't understand that our film was as genre as it was. And that's the thing, is like, if you go make an art house project, it has to be amazing.
Yeah.
Right. You go do a gung fu movie, and I think our movie was great. I'm really proud of that movie and what we accomplished. Everyone would have told us, I mean, none of us came from any money. We're all just kids from Texas. Everyone we'd grown up with had told us that this was a ridiculous dream. And but the fact is, when you go do a genre film, you have that opportunity that, even if you don't become, it isn't El Mariachi, right? It isn't, whatever these other success stories are. I think Joe Carnahan's Blood, Guts, Bolts, and Octane, right? Even if you don't have that hit, you can sell your movie.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, that's the last laugh is on it, on all them with genre stuff, is like, there's a market, there's a huge market for genre stuff.
And that's kind of what I say is like, guys, because most people I went to film school with, they all wanted to be Scorsese. They all wanted to be Coppola. And I love those filmmakers, but that wasn't what made me, as an 8-year-old, say I wanted to be a filmmaker.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I wanted to be James Cameron. I wanted to be, I'm not, but I'm on my journey and I love what I do.
Yeah. No, I mean, that was it for me. I mean, that's why I moved to Hollywood. I was like, okay, I don't want to really go to jail, but I really do want to rob a bank.
Right.
I mean, the Lethal Weapon series and Mel Gibson and Tequila Sunrise and all that, like I said, True Romance. I mean, Reservoir, like, it just, like, those movies just were like so impactful to me, and was just so much fun. I was like, I want to do that. I want to go and play cops and robbers, man.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about the stuff that you do. It's just so much fun, man,
Thank you.
So I mean, incredible story for The Prodigy, but then you do Sinners and Saints, and that really takes off.
Yeah, that was the one that kicked off.
Yeah.
And it was funny because we had the number 2 at that sales company that took out The Prodigy. He and I really hit it off. He ended up coming on and producing that film. And so this time we had someone who understood the distribution game going into it. So we had
that's super interesting, because then because Jay helped you write Sinners and Saints, right? Yeah. And so you guys are writing with distribution in mind at that point? Did you kind of learn from The Prodigy and be like, okay, hey, we need to think about this as we create the story? Because I know, like, certain things, and I've been told, like, okay, well, you need blood to splat in Japan. It needs to run here. It needs to, like, there's these just the different territories have all kind of different specifics when it comes to sort of the genre stuff.
Yeah, we still probably weren't that smart. We just wrote, right? We knew that we had to have an inciting action in the first 15 minutes. That was the rule, right?
Yeah.
And then I got a book by Lou Hunter called 434. It's like his senior level screenwriting class. and so that really helped us with structure. One of the problems with The Prodigy is our structure was not what it should have been, and we ended up shooting a much longer movie than we ended up releasing.
Uh-huh.
So when I look at that, it's kind of painful because if there's 18 minutes that gets cut out of your movie, that means you shot for like
You spent a
2
lot of
weeks
you
for
spent
no
you spent
reason.
18 minutes worth of money.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, but
so
you know, give yourself a break, dude. It's your first one.
yes, and
And
I
you
think
did it.
if we had listened and known everything that was impossible about it,
You
we
wouldn't have
would
done
have
it.
known.
Wouldn't have done it.
Yeah,
Yeah. If anyone knows how hard this game is, they wouldn't get into it.
no,
Yeah.
you have to be a little masochistic, and you have to just be a little delusional, and
You have to
and
be
you
a
have to be
soldier, man.
really,
You have to face it every day. Just I mean, especially in production, just like the kick in the nuts, and then it's just to keep going. What like losing
yeah.
locations or just dude, actors alone, which we'll try to get into some of the casting stuff. But this is
Yeah, we did that on the channel. I mean, that's a movie ago. We did. We had a locked book location for the movie, and 2 days beforehand, they called us up saying we were losing location. We said we've already paid the location fee, and he goes, "Oh no, James Cameron's coming here to do a True Lies TV show. He pays better than you do."
Yeah.
And we got kicked to the curb, and at the end of a shooting day, I was literally hopping in the car with John and going looking at possible locations they had scouted while we were shooting
Yeah.
to figure out what we were going to do in 2 days.
And then do you feel like that was a happy accident? Because a lot of times it is, right?
Oh, for sure for me because the way it ended up, we ended up with Crescent City Connection in the background. It's where they did the switch car,
Yeah.
and I loved it.
Yeah.
It worked. Right?
Yeah, man.
And I think that's the thing that happens is you realize that all the things that are so painful at the moment are so difficult. If you just accept that this is what God's given you, or you want to call it universe or whatever, and you make the most of it, then
I think it also shifts
you'll
you.
fall
It
in
shifts you creatively, right? Because you had a plan, and now you're completely present and open, and you're seeing it in a whole new way, and you're forced to act off instinct, right? And it's like,
right.
and you've honed your instincts through all this that you have to start trusting it, and again, yeah, it's like you find these like happy accidents or these little miracles and it ends up making it better. Yeah, I thought you guys showcased New Orleans really well in the channel.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we shot in this neighborhood, all of the Irish Channel.
Yeah.
So we shot all over the city, but most of the story takes place here in this neighborhood.
Yeah, I thought you guys did a really good job of showing New Orleans. It was great. So Sinners and Saints, you go in, you're a little bit smarter, you got a little bit more knowledge, and then that seems to compound because that seems that like tell me a little bit about the trajectory of that film because it got a lot of heat. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's still making money, so it's done well.
Crazy, dude.
Yeah, and that was the movie that finally I mean, I got asked to. I was up to do. Cuba Gooding was friends with my writer buddy Chad Law, and they were doing a movie together. The directors, for one reason or another, dropped out, and that ended up. I submitted some scenes from Sinners, which wasn't completed yet, and they saw it, liked it. I got flown out to meet with the team at Universal, and I got approved, and I went and did the movie.
I mean,
So,
that's a pretty big deal too to get approved at that level for your second film, for them to to trust. What was the budget range on Sinners and Saints? Can you say?
yeah, it was. I can talk about it. That was $740,000.
Wow, and it's still making money.
Yeah, slowly but surely it did. Yeah.
Yeah, I still get my residual checks, my $13 checks from stuff.
Good deal.
Yeah. And so tell me how that changed things for you.
I think because we had
it's Universal backed, you said? Universal?
The Sinners was independent, and they saw Sinners, and so my third film was the hit list.
Yeah.
With Cole Hauser and Cuba Gooding.
Got it. So yeah, tell me a little bit how Sinners, because that's the one I think everyone refers to that puts you really put you on the map.
Yeah, I think it was just kind of a chance to showcase what I really enjoy, and this mixture of action with character study hidden in the background so nobody knows that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because the sales guys, they just, how many guns and how many explosions do you have? So I invest in doing a genre film, and then I'm fighting to get as much character in there as I can.
Yeah, I mean,
And
talk about that, because that I definitely feel like the psychological sort of thriller aspect of it plays into it, or just the character study, like you said, especially like with the channel. I mean, even in Sinners and Saints, like these people are going through shit.
yeah, I mean, the channel was super special for me. I wrote that one, and it was very personal to me. It was a chance for me to make New Orleans a character, which is my home city and that I love. And I ended up with a cast of just, I never had more fun
Yeah.
until, I had a great time on this last one. But that one was a really special one because of the relationships with the actors. And, Mark and I had done like 10 movies together by that time, my DP. And that was my introduction to John, and the Lewis brothers, Isaac and Andrew, came on, and Christian, and the film, that was a film that the Lewis brothers and I got started, and then the Lewis brothers brought on John, and we had this.
I mean, yeah, you
amazing
guys got such a solid team now. Like, I mean, I saw that when it's just Osiris. It was just like, okay, this is next level.
Surrounding myself with people that are really talented, that fill in the deficits of things that are not my thing.
Yeah.
So we're a really good team now.
Yeah, no, you do. The brothers are great, and I love John and Christian. And so talk about your casting process, as far as, because you're saying you're bearing character study into this genre. So I mean, that's the thing too, that you can fall prey to, right? With these, I feel like, because I've done a bunch of horror, you can fall prey to a tone sort of just like phoning it in, right? Like,
right.
And it's such a, I mean, I've done certain, as an actor, I've done certain things where I've like played these parts, and you just sort of get into a style, right?
Right.
And I feel like in the channel, especially, and I even Sinners and Saints, that you get, like, the actors they're going through shit.
Yeah, and I think if you cast well, if you get the right people in the right parts, it's not about who necessarily, it's about who's best for the role. So and we do have to pay attention to the finance side of it, which was
drives everything. It fucking drives everything. Like, I've often said on these calls, right? And when we've been on these calls, I'm like, hey guys, no one's mentioned, is he right for the part?
Right.
Is he right for the role? Like, it's like, all I know is what this guy's worth in Mexico City, or what he's worth in Australia.
And that's what happens when I've worked with other producers. I will hear them say, well, who are you interested in? And it's kind of a bullshit question, because they have their lists. We all know about the lists. And I would rather them say, I'll give you my archetype. I'd love to have this actor, and then give me the list of guys that you think give you the value, and then let's narrow that down together and put them in order and chase it that way.
Well, and then also the guys that will do your genre, right? That are interested in your genre. And I think that's where the real opportunity, and the conversations that we've had around casting that are interesting, is like, I think a lot of people would love to do this genre. They just don't get thought of. And it's like, that's where it kind of gets interesting to me, where it's like, let's find somebody you wouldn't expect to be in this, but also has that value, but also is in that place in their career where this is interesting to them. And I think that's where it can get exciting, but I don't feel like we get a lot of room to explore that stuff.
Yeah, agreed.
When you get into like some of the supporting stuff, was all that stuff for the channel, was that pulled from New Orleans, or did you guys pull?
It was primarily pulled from New Orleans. I had actors, obviously, like Jay Moses, people that I brought in from Texas, that I had prior relationships with.
Now we got to kill Jay in everything you do.
But
you got to break a finger or kill Jay or do something to Jay.
Absolutely.
He's so fucking good, dude.
He is. He's freaking amazing.
Yeah. He's a good writer. He's a good actor. He's really good.
He's a good filmmaker.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think and working, I mean, at where I'm at, a lot of times if an actor isn't local, I can't get approved to bring in someone from another state.
Yeah.
It's just my reality. There may be other filmmakers that have a different reality, but there are times when there are actors who can work local and have homes here or residents here, and they can. And but New Orleans has a great pool.
New Orleans is one of my favorite pools of people. I mean, it's crazier and shit down there, but
yes,
but I often say, I go, it's if you're going anywhere, plan for an hour.
yeah,
On a block, or you go, because you don't know what you're going to come across.
Well,
but as far as casting
you
goes,
come, I can show you around and get you out of the quarter.
yeah, no, I'm not. I'm never in the quarter, man. No, I had an office there forever. Like I've worked.
Really?
I've worked there a ton. Yeah, dude, I love making stuff in New Orleans. I love the talent pool there. Like it's just the fabric of everybody is just so rich and authentic and good.
Yeah.
You know. No, man, I've spent a ton of time down there. I love it.
That's the other thing I would say is like, I mean, I remember back when Holt and I were in Dallas, and there's this incredible drive for actors to say, I've got to get to LA. I've got to go live in LA. If I'm going to be a real actor, I've got to go live. And the fact is, we don't, other than giant network TV and giant movies, and even most of them are shot. Most everything's shot regionally. Everything's shot in Atlanta, in New Orleans. If I was to advise someone, I would say go live in one of those markets.
Dude, 100%. Like I have put people in scenes with huge names that would have never gotten that shot in LA.
And think about what that does for their resume, right?
Yep.
So
yeah, no, I mean the opportunity. I mean, it's hard, right? Because it's like it's a hustle, and you're only getting days here and days there. But yeah, to build up your resume, like I've been telling people to go to New Mexico because there's just what happens. What happens in these markets is, when they get flooded because of the tax incentives and all these shows show up. I mean, you got to imagine a show can only use that one guy that one time. They can't use him for the rest of the season. So there's just such opportunity, right? And I'm faced with the same thing you're faced with from casting is like, I even have to fight for a hotel room for people, you know?
And I mean, go look at go watch reruns of Breaking Bad. You'll see Mark Hansen, Drew Waters, Todd Jenkins, Holt Box. You'll see all
those guys. Yep.
Lawrence Veronato, all these Dallas and Austin actors. Everyone did their turn on that show.
Yep. Yeah.
So it's like,
no, that's the other thing, man. Because I travel so like we do Wilmington, I do Charleston, I do Atlanta, I do we do movies. I just got back from Cincinnati, doing a movie, and all these markets have rich actors and have depth and have and everyone's pulling from the region, and it's crazy how many people actually do this.
Yeah, and I think that's Dallas, Texas, Austin, San Antonio, Houston. There's fantastic actors there.
Yeah.
But as filmmakers, it's because there isn't a tax incentive, and Texas is surrounded by states like Oklahoma, New Mexico, Louisiana that have these huge incentives. As filmmakers, I filmed 2 movies there.
Yeah.
And independent films, but because I chose to shoot them there, I could have never got approved at my budget range. So because it's so driven finances, even from Hollywood movies. I mean, if Hell or High Water is shooting in New Mexico for Texas, then
no, I mean, dude, I've scouted El Paso, and we've been like, well, we go right over there, like just a mile, like and it happens when you get to the numbers, and they're like, wait a minute, we're gonna save 400,000. It's like it's just hard. It's such a gamble. I mean, people will just I don't know. People probably yell at me on the internet, oh, poor you, but it's so hard. Which is to your credit, dude, that you were able to get the money for The Prodigy and Sinners and Saints. It's just so hard to make this happen, and you've done it, like, I mean, it's such I know, and it's just such a huge accomplishment to get someone to write that check to go make The Prodigy when you've never made anything. I mean, it's just like, that guy needs a psych evaluation, but that's all right.
Right. Right. I think it's just once you do one, but again, right, it's show business, not show fun.
Yeah.
The movie has to make money.
Yeah.
So you talk someone into giving you 50 grand, 40 grand for your passion project. That passion project has to have a way to make a return.
Yep.
And in my opinion, that way of return should not be that wins Sundance.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
You know,
It's not a business plan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean that's what's so cool about what you've done is you've brought great story to a genre, and you're elevating it, and again it's like, you know, there is a big market, and what I get caught up in is making movies for a very small few that will end up seeing it, and it doesn't make any money, you know, and it makes it really, really difficult. You know,
Right.
I mean, but or we get into, you know, the horror genre stuff, and it just does insanely well.
Right.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
yeah. But I think you found a really good balance. I mean, especially too. I mean, so Osiris. Let's talk about that a little bit, because that is a little bit genre bending for you, isn't it?
It is. I can't talk much about it.
Okay.
But yes, I can talk what's been released in the trade so far. So yeah, I mean, I haven't done a real science fiction film. The Daylight's End was as close to that as I did, kind of our end of the world apocalypse movie. But Osiris was this science fiction is a hard one, because if it's not done well, if you don't have the money to do the science fiction well, you're just gonna look like a bad sci-fi channel movie.
Yeah.
And
Which
it's also
which I saw some of the photos of some of the sets, which again, this isn't live, so I can cut anything out.
right.
But I mean, you guys, man, it looked like you. I mean, just even what I saw at Troublemaker, it was just like, oh, this is fucking hot. This is good.
Well, that was all our production design team, Paul, Alex, Stephen Joyner, the whole team just made everything elevated, and I've never had anything like that. These are the guys doing Predators and all the Rodriguez stuff, Alita Battle Angel, and doing, you know, Tarantino stuff. I mean, they're next level.
Yeah.
So we got really blessed to have them come on board. But even once we got that, it was very hard to get actors invested, because, you know, they hadn't heard of me.
Yeah.
We're going third level talent, and doing for an actor to do science fiction with filmmakers they haven't heard of is a bit of a hard sell.
Big of a trust. How do you go about that process, getting them to trust you?
Well, I think I had worked with Max Martini on The Channel.
Yep.
So he came on in the lead role, and then the supporting cast, you know, was
down to the wire. I mean,
yeah, Michael Irby got brought on because of Max, really as a favor to Max. LaMonica Garrett, he came on. It was really, I forget how that came about. That was something John managed to happen, and I was a huge fan of him from 1883. And then Linz Edwards and Jaron Mitchell were both alumni from the channel. Just fantastic actors. Dave Meadows is an actor in his own right, and he was a former SEAL. So he definitely was a welcome addition to the team.
Yeah.
And then we got Brianna on from Deadpool, Brianna Hildebrand, and she absolutely crushed it. And then Down to the Wire. This is happening during, we got a waiver. My producers made that happen.
Yeah, because it happened during the strike. Yeah, you guys got shut down.
So we had one actor on board to play a key role, and then I just think it was something a lot of actors, you know, they want to be in solidarity, as they should be, with their union. So I think there was some hesitation for some people to work, even though we had a waiver. And then it
was so confusing at that time. What was okay? What wasn't okay? What you could do? What you couldn't do? Yeah, I mean, we were putting cast together, and it was just sort of like, it was so chaotic.
Right. And then I knew that Linda Hamilton lived here in New Orleans.
Oh, she does? I didn't know she lived there. Nice.
Yeah, and I suggested it, and she lived literally blocks from the studio we were shooting at. And John,
She's walking by with a coffee. You're like, what about Liv?
I mean, she literally could walk the set. So, and then she said yes, and that was a giant thing.
Yeah,
So,
man.
and this was the most badass group of people that loved each other. They all went out to dinner all the time. They partied together. They every Friday night we met at my local pub here in the Irish Channel, Parasols, and it was like little mini rap parties every Friday night.
That's
So
fun, man.
I've never had more fun. It was such a good group of human beings from the cast and crew onward.
So how did you find one, the scope and the genre being sci-fi? Was it super challenging, or?
I think it was much more challenging for me as a writer going into it, because this is kind of a chase film. So a chase film, for it to be realistic, to be based in any kind of, and that's what I believe, if I'm going to do something science fiction, that's crazy enough. So I want to try and ground it in as much reality as I can. So, and so I think that try and have the opportunities that were organic for people on the run to be sharing things and having conversations was challenging. And then it was just super intimidating going, hey, is this spaceship going to really work? Are these aliens going to really work?
Right. Is it going to be? Yeah, I mean, you have a vision in your head, but then to bring that to reality is like, is this going to be, cheesy, or is this going to actually, we going to pull this off?
And the design team killed it. And then Todd Masters came on to handle creature effects, and he's a legend. He started in the original Predator. So
I mean, I saw some photos, dude. It looked dope, dude.
Oh my God, this guy's sending us. This has never happened to me as a filmmaker. Like weekly videos from his, like produced videos of their updates for the week of what they'd done, and it was just seeing this thing come together was pretty amazing.
I mean, how much fun is it, dude?
It was a blast, and it was really, really hard work.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's what I said. Like, I saw you guys were like fucking hustling when I was down there.
We were running and running.
Yeah.
And this thing has so much action in it that it felt like every day, was just running.
Yeah.
It was a sprint every day.
See, that's the other thing about you too, man. You crank them out. You're consistently working. I mean, you've got Shrapnel coming. You had the channel. You got Shrapnel coming. You got 2 going on right now. You have Osiris, Triggerman. Like, you're a workhorse.
Well, you know what? I've had people tell me, hey, Will, you should slow it down, live a little. And I'm like, I've lived enough. I've got a little bit of traction. I've got to really chase it and capitalize on these opportunities. So
I mean, I feel like with the channel and then with this, it's like it's compounding to where it'll be fun to watch when people are like begging to be in your films.
That'd be great. Yeah, I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, as opposed to like having to, we have to fight so hard to get people on. It's like, I feel like you're getting to that place where it's like, I mean, and I'm happy too to have these type of films coming out because they're so much fun. I really feel like that it's a throwback to like that era that we talked about.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I always call, I realize how many times I've said this movie's a love letter to my childhood.
Yeah.
It is. I know on the channels, like I reached out to Clayne and Max. We reached out to them, right, to get to for the roles, and they had different roles. And Clayne was going to play the brother, Max was going to play the cop, and I knew they were friends. Right. So the offers went in, and I made sure that they both knew that the other one was on the movie. And then they apparently called each other and they said, hey, let's be the brothers. Let's play the brothers. Try and talk Will into it. And then they asked for me to get on a call. I had the call, and then I pretended like they had to talk me into it. And I was never so excited.
Did you have that in mind or?
No. I didn't think, but the characters,
because I didn't know that. I couldn't see it. I can't see it any other way. Like,
yeah, the characters were written younger initially.
Okay.
But I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't go back in time.
No, it's perfect, man. Yeah.
They were perfect.
Yeah. I mean, I can see Max playing the cop for sure, and he'd crush it. But like, he was so good in the older brother role, and has that volatile level of like sort of, just, definitely not scared to die. Definitely a fucking psychopath.
Oh yeah, and he got to have so much fun doing that and Max is like one of the sweetest people on the planet. So him getting to play as evil and dark a character, he was a kid in the playground.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I envy, and I'll show up if you ever need a third guy with a gun somewhere in the background.
Right.
I'll just show up. It just seems like it's so much fun, man, to just be able to live out that dream of like, I don't know, man, just stuff you're not allowed to do in life,
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I definitely think there's a little bit of that in me,
Yeah.
little boy.
So for Osiris, what was some of the inspiration for that?
I mean, it's going to be really obvious to people. I mean, it's the filmmakers that I look up to, right? It's Cameron's Terminator stuff, but more so, it's probably it's going to be Mr. Scott,
Yeah.
And I was a big fan. Was a big fan of Fincher's Alien 3.
Yep.
Of course, big fan of Cameron's Aliens, the best sequel there is of a movie. And so that was kind of it, but it was kind of like, yes, that's a kind of a jumping off point, but I think it's very much its own thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's got to be, right? It's you're inspired, but then you take all that and it flows through you, becomes something totally different. Is this a genre you would want to keep going in, or?
Definitely, if I can get to play at that level,
yeah,
and supported in the creative at that level, yes, I would love to.
And then as far as going, because this is sort of a transfer into a different sort of genre, which I think is a very viable marketplace for sci-fi as well too, sort of similar to action. Was there any sort of like consulting to like what you needed to do in this one for sci-fi as far as for the market?
Yeah, no, not so much. I mean, I think at this.
So we're
point,
back to the Prodigy. You got to learn all.
Yeah, I think I've been through it. I've had enough of a journey that kind of. I kind of I feel like I have an instinct of what's, I think you have to make movies. Yes, you're making movies for an audience, but you have to make something you want to see.
That's all that Rick Rubin stuff that's out there now. It's talking about how you have to do it for you. And if the audience finds it, it's great. But if you do it for you and you're honest to yourself, then people are also going to find it.
Yeah, that's my belief.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I think we just, I mean, this is a tough game, and it's all about endurance and working really hard and fighting and ignoring the impossible.
Yeah. Yep. I think that's a good thing to leave it on. Ignore the impossible. What's up next? What are you excited about?
I've got a couple things in the hopper. I think there's still, I've got kind of a passion project that I'm developing, which is kind of a 1930s Peaky Blinders meets John Wick thing.
Fuck yeah.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
It's set here in New Orleans. And then there is
let's do a series on that. Let's do a fucking streaming series on that idea.
Done.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate your time, dude. Keep up the good work, dude. It's great stuff.
Thank you.
I'm super excited to see Osiris come out. All I keep hearing from John and Christian is how awesome it is. So
I can't wait to get to show it to people.
Awesome, man. And then people go check out the channel and Shrapnel. I think those are out right now. And then also let's keep the residuals coming for Sinners and Saints.
Yes, sir.
keep it going. All right, dude. I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
All right. You have a good one.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Our show today was recorded in studio by the good folks at Record ATX. Check them out at recordatx.com. Our theme music is produced by Jonathan Price. You can check out some of the sounds he makes with his project, The Mid-Cities, on Spotify. Follow, subscribe, and smash that like button if you see one. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.